Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
It is episode 215.
Indiana Jones RADnesia.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hey everyone, we're back. We're back with a RADnesia. That's right, we haven't done one of these for a while.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't do that with the title. I felt really lackluster on that one, but I knew you'd catch up with all. Throw it in there.
Oh, we'll throw in tons of RADnesia all over your face.
Oh, okay.
So today we're trying a new flavor of bubbly, not alcohol. Bubbly sparkling water. It's coconut pineapple bubbly.
It was a limited edition, and we couldn't pass this up.
It tastes exactly what sunscreen smells like.
This tastes like summer in a can.
Doesn't taste bad, but
it doesn't. Yeah, but it's like Malibu Barbie, just bottle. You know what? Sunscreen. Okay, come on. I don't know. Never mind. Tastes like sunscreen.
No. Do tell how Malibu Barbie got in this can. What did she bottle?
Malibu Barbie smells like sunscreen.
I know.
I'm not going to go there.
What did she bottle that we're drinking?
You know what? She oozes sunscreen. You're the one that brought this upon yourself. I was trying to be cute and adorable, and you went right into the gutter.
I didn't mean to take it in the gutter.
Oh, you totally did. Totally meant to.
Not meant to. But, you know.
It's got a... You know what? One of my favorite words? Mouthfeel. It's got a creamy mouthfeel.
And who took this to the gutter right off the bat? How'd this podcast go?
It has
creamy mouthfeel.
The picture, it's fancy. It has a mustache. It's a mustache man, or mustache Malibu Barbie. Apparently, shit got weird.
So we decided that with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming out soon, that we would do a complete Indiana Jones RADnesia.
And you sound like the ride.
Please keep your hands, arms inside the vehicle at all times, and your earphones locked onto Cup of Rad.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so it had been a while since we had watched all of the Indiana Jones, and it had been a really long time since we had watched Crystal Skull. So we thought we'd have to take an opportunity to show Kiddo these, especially since it's been a while, and rewatch them all. So let's dig into it.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Bom, bom, bom.
Oh, God, no. What has happened? I thought it was free of it.
Oh, well, the look you gave was like, this is where I need my air horn.
That was my... So do I need an air horn sign that's like flashing? Air horn.
No.
No, just... I was trying to be all like, cool, like, let's dig into this.
No, you wanted that.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. Indiana Jones, starring Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. Actually, it was just rated as the Lost Ark. Now they've slapped the Indiana Jones on it.
Oh, it really was just originally rated as Lost Ark. I guess that would make sense.
It's a one and done originally.
Because what would be the point of putting it all in there?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But as subsequent releases came out, they slowly started adding more words to the title. Just started off as Jones and the Lost Ark.
Just Indy.
Yeah. But Raiders of the Lost Ark, what'd you think on your rewatch? On your RADnesia rewatch?
Okay, so first off, can we just talk about the all as a summary? No, we should probably talk about each movie, I guess, huh?
Well, we can talk however you want to do
all over the place, because I'm really good at just going all over the place. But so just on an overarching aspect, I grew up the most in my household was the Last Crusade.
Yeah. I think everyone did.
I know, and I think it was because it was on TV a lot.
Always on TV.
And so my dad always had it on. So to me, this was like, if I think of Indiana Jones, it was that one.
Yeah.
It took me well into my adult years to realize that and actually remember Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was so funny to me. And I never really knew Temple of Doom at all.
Yeah.
That being said, when I watch Raiders now, like, I really enjoy it. Now I really remember it, and I understand that you know, I can separate them. And
yeah.
So watching it again, though, because it had been a while here, I like these. It's that freshness of it, you know, with that. It's just that the kind of special feeling that the first movie gets, because there's no, oh, you should know about the character or anything like that. It all has to be brand new for it.
Overlying.
Yeah,
no.
There's nothing else, right? And I like the simple humor that's in it. And the simple kind of gag aspect for things, but then there's a good action. There's, you know, you have your clear cut villain, you have all that sort of stuff.
Well, you can't get a better villain than the Nazis,
right?
Like, anytime a Nazi gets punched in the face, it's a good time. We've said that multiple times on this podcast.
You add in an Egyptian aspect to it, and of course I'm sold, right? So, you know, you add that, and then the cool aspect. I mean, I'm all for the Christian like history for things, right? I think that was an interesting problem to solve for them, and you know, it's the ending of it was relatively simple, right? Yeah. So sorry, I know I kind of got way into that, but
no, it's good.
But yeah, no, I really do like it.
I like the character. I like. You know, he's gruff but likable. He's never really a dick.
He's not mean, yeah.
You know, he's not a mean guy in Raiders, and you know, he's just, you know, hired to do a job, and it happens to be to try to find the Ark before the Nazis do, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's that fun cat and mouse chase, right? And the just all the different characters coming into it isn't too bogged down with too much, right? You really just have Marion and Sala as kind of his crew. Sala so much. And then you've got your bad guys, but there's not too much going on. It's fairly simple for the characters, which really kind of helps, especially for the fact that like it's from like 82 or something like that, right? So you can't get a better Indiana Jones opening scene though. Like none of the films have come to to really, well, you just capture so much of it of who he is
in such a quick
right
out the gate. And I love the you don't see his face for so long too, you know. I love the reveal of him. It's just like, look at me, I'm here. So I like the style of filming, right? So
well, it's very much the pulp hero, right? It is the 30s action idea, and they've captured that style so well within it, right? But yeah, like the ball roll scene still is just cool,
right? That whole temple thing, you know, the back and forth, and I like when he goes to Marion's bar too. Like it's just such a catastrophe after another, but it doesn't seem ridiculous.
It's not cartoony or outlandish.
You know, so, and I mean, it's very, I don't know. I think their banter back and forth feels a little bit more real because it's that love to hate him, you know, idea. But you know, the people who love each other usually fight the most idea. And so I don't know. I like it feels very quickly that you can tell there is a history there. And so when they do share feelings, it doesn't feel forced. And, you know, I think they just did a great job of having that, like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. There was obviously something there before. It wasn't brand new and I'm all starstruck or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So
what's nice too is Marion doesn't really play a damsel in distress. She's a very strong woman, which is rare, really, I think, for that era of film too, right? So I think that was really cool to see. You know, there's not a lot to really like. It's old, it's dated, especially its effects and stuff, but like it's still just a cool film. Raiders really just stands out as I think one of those pieces of cinema that spawned a legacy from such a simplistic, easy idea, you know. So
one thing I think was funny, so all the you know, being it's in Cairo is the main place for it, right? And then with the monkey and the spy and all this sort of stuff, and I remember I got with the bad dates idea with the monkey that died, and I was like so sad at first because I'm usually so like distraught when animals get hurt now. And both him and Kiddo looked at me and like, but it's a Nazi monkey. Okay, I guess I can't feel bad for it, but
right.
It's like, no, he doesn't have a political agenda, but okay, I guess you're right. I can't feel bad.
He was working for the Nazis.
It was pretty funny.
So by in turn, he was an evil monkey.
Evil monkey.
Monkey.
I love Sala, and I love the community that he shows he has with the whole town trying to help them out, like their little secret doors and setups and everything like that. Like it's quite funny. He's got quite a system going on. So, and of course, I can't get over how awesome it is to watch all the excavation stuff, and then when he gets into that main room,
it doesn't feel like
the big Anubis statues.
So outlandish compared to like what we see in like even like National Treasure and stuff like that. It's just like huge, big set, like explosions and like as much as I enjoy the National Treasure movies, but like I think that's the charm of Raiders, is that even the traps and the things that are in it are so simplistic. And it doesn't feel so unreal. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have watched it.
And also, too, whenever you get face melting Nazis, it's even better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. With the end of it.
I don't know why. I love it.
It's so brutal. It's so silly because you can tell how fake it is. But at the same time, it's just so grotesque, and it's still like, holy shit, his face just melted. Yeah. So it's awesome, right? I love the idea with them opening up the Ark, and just the concept that any power that would be held in something like that is too great for our minds. And there was a lot of evil and everything. It was almost like a all-encompassing power, which includes a good and bad idea. And I love that Indy had the foresight enough to say, hey, we're not supposed to witness this. No one is supposed to see this. And I love that it just wipes everything clean and then just goes away, right? So, but yeah, it's beautiful. And we keep yawning. Apparently we needed coffee.
Apparently we're not caffeinated enough for this.
Goodness, we are not not at all caffeinated.
No. Well, we're still getting caught up after we had like a late night.
We went dancing on Friday, and
it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so. It was fun. So kind of detoxing off of that still.
Yeah. So Temple of Doom, which is actually chronologically release-wise came out after.
Yeah, release-wise, Raiders. But story-wise.
Story-wise, it's a year before. Yeah, so.
And we're waiting because we're yawning some more.
So it's a year before. So Temple of Doom is a completely different animal.
Yes.
It doesn't follow Raiders' plot points the same way. It's a different kind of story because it's not him. One, he's not fighting the Nazis.
Yes.
Two, he's not really searching for something. He falls into something because a deal goes awry.
Yeah, it just throws you right into him having already found something and trying to make the deal for it, and then getting double crossed, and then having to deal with what comes next after he gets, kidnapped and thrown out of the sky, basically.
Right. So this one gets a little outlandish, especially in the opening scene where he's like trying to find the vial to save himself from the poison, but it's not so ridiculous, and it reminds you very much of like the old films. Yeah, like the way that that comedy is set up. The biggest outlandishness is when they jump out of the plane in a raft. In a raft. Mm-hmm. That kind of is a bit of a suspension of disbelief of how that would work. Yeah. Did Mythbusters ever do that one? Because that would have been a good myth bust.
Oh, I'm gonna see if we. Oh, I'm stand by.
I feel like
that seems like something that they should have done.
Throwing like ballistic gel people out of an airplane in a raft. I mean,
Mythbusters.
It seems because like the impact when it hits the snow.
Mythbusters inflatable raft, Indiana Jones. Other people looked for this too.
Okay.
Riding a life raft off of a plane in Mythbusters. They did it back in 2018.
Okay.
Indiana Jones. Oh, someone else had done that. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, now I want to look and see what that says here. So you keep talking and I'll see if I can find the answer.
So I really like Temple of Doom because it's darker. It's always been like Raiders and Temple, for me they're fairly equal in what they did, right? Like the type of adventure. Mm-hmm. And then like I like Temple so much because it's darker and it's not the same formula.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like a nice...
Well, it would make sense to have him have a different style of adventure,
right? So that's what I thought was really cool with that one, is that it is completely different. You're still dealing with a sort of a small cast of heroes and villains. And the end of it really paints him out as a really good hero, mm-hmm. because he doesn't do anything for any glitz or glamour. He literally does it to save a village.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And watching it, I know he had
said fortune and glory.
Yeah.
But you know that he is more concerned about the kids.
Yeah.
When he found out the children were missing, that was actually what got him to say, okay, we need to do this.
Yeah.
So, you know, that you can tell that his motivation, and that's what's great actually when you look throughout all the movies, his motivation still lies within it belongs in a museum. You know, it's meant for the world to share into the knowledge. It's meant for the well-being of mankind. Like he's definitely not a fortune hunter.
Yeah.
You know, he is that true archaeologist aspect, right?
Yeah. So Temple has a bit more like ick factor for like the extremes. It has a bit more stereotypes. Mm-hmm. So it has its timing flaws. Yeah. As well. But I still really liked it.
Yeah. So I looked up Mythbusters proved they tried 3 attempts and proved that Indiana Jones would not have survived that. So he is indeed a superhero.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it as well. It's definitely I get caught up between like a lot of scenes that I really enjoy, and I love the possibility, like the voodoo-esque thing in it, and like the actual concept of the magic that's in it is really interesting to me. But then some of those gross factors, like the dining scene and all sorts of stuff, it's harder for me to handle those types of things. So when it comes to the adventure aspect, I'm all for it. Like I love that idea, and I love that, you know, the spirituality of it. So it's kind of a back and forth.
Yeah.
But overall, I like that it's definitely a different story, a different style. It's him having that. But now I'm suddenly drawing a blank. The girl's name.
Willie.
This time she kind of wore on me a little bit more.
Oh yeah. She's not my favorite character.
She's really not, and especially I think after watching so closely with Marion, and as much as Marion can be very uppity and in your face, she's not whiny. Yeah. And Willie was so whiny. Yeah. And it was just like, oh God, woman, shut up. Yeah. So I think it fell prey to being so close in comparison, which is why I think I kind of knocked it a little bit more with that. But I like the bad guy. I like it's very inspiring to see all the people that he does save. I mean, all those children, like that is a really wonderful feeling. So it really ends on this really awesome high note for that, right? So overall,
you also get the sexiest Indy though.
Definitely. Right?
The half ripped shirt.
I mean, that's the highlight of the movie, of course. Like, okay, so as I've gotten older, he's only gotten hotter. Like this time around, I was like, holy shit, Harrison Ford was so hot in these movies. Oh my God.
Good to know.
So yeah, there you go.
Okay. I got goals. I'm older than he was in either of those 2 movies, so not ever gonna get that vibe. I still got time to do
that much older.
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
Okay, so like Last Crusade was everywhere. Last Crusade, like when I went to like middle school and high school, they put on one of two movies because like you gotta remember I came from VHS day. I didn't even have DVD. Mm-hmm. So there was only a few tapes rattling around the school.
There wasn't streaming opportunities.
And we'll get into that. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
So like it was like this one tape got passed around. So there was like either it was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. Those are like always the two movies that would always be like, well, we're doing a movie today.
Like, oh, good.
Like, oh no, it's The Last Crusade again that we won't finish. And then in 2 weeks' time in some other class, they'll start it again and we won't finish. So I have a little bit of a
PTSD from it.
I have a little bit of love-hate relationship. With this one. So the streaming idea, what I was going to say was that, you know, working in schools, teachers have access to their personal, of course, Netflix or Disney Plus. But there's also, and I don't know if a lot of them actually use it, but there's a Criterion Collection thing that's available to teachers. Found this out. We could even use it. You know, it's allowed to be used even at home for us if we wanted to.
Oh, okay.
But it's all these different movies. It's a perk thing, right? But it feels like every time I see a movie on, it's the same friggin' movie.
So they also just don't think. They're just going on.
It's like Cars is played so much.
Oh, really?
In middle school and even in high school. But like Into the Spider-Verse, in the last days, we had double blocks. All
you saw?
I was like, in the class I was in the Spider-Verse was playing in the last, because they got their stuff done. It was their last class. And then I had to go on a walk, right, to go to get some stuff. And like I passed like two classrooms and the door was open. And it was like Into the Spider-Verse was playing. And I was just like, that's become the new Indiana Jones. This great movie is going to get destroyed. Kids are going to be like, oh, I've watched the Spider-Verse like 60 times. I'm not even paying attention anymore.
2/3 of the way through, right? 60 times. Oh, no.
So, but then like at the end of the day, I go into the one meeting area and Cars is playing and it was just like, oh my God, no more Cars. So.
Nice.
But yeah, so Last Crusade, Last Crusade was like, oh, Temple of Doom. This came out many years later. From like 84, I think.
It was 5 years later, so it was 89.
89. So that goes back into the weirdness that we have an indie movie, we have a Little Mermaid movie, and we have a Batman, Keaton Batman, that happened in 89 and also happening now in 2023.
Super weird.
So they went back to the formula. They decided that, Temple was too much of a deviation. We need A, our Nazis back.
Bring back the Nazis.
And B, we need to follow a formula. So they follow a formula in this one because they're looking for the Lost Grail, and they follow pretty much the same kind of feel. We also get an opening scene that is like some of the first fan service almost kind of feel in a movie. Yeah. Where it's like we get the explanation of his scar. We get the explanation of why he hates snakes. And we get the explanation of why he wears the costume he wears.
Yep. And the whip that he uses.
Yeah.
So
all within like a 10-minute scene.
Hell, even just his whole everything though. Yeah. You don't know if he was actually interested. I mean, you know his dad. You find out how he is so interested. But did he want to be an archaeologist? Like, this seems like his inspiration to become an archaeologist and go and find stuff. Yeah. It was just so... It explained everything and when to go.
I never really realized it until watching it now and being like, oh, this is like right on the nose.
It feels so forced.
Yeah. It feels very lazy.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah, it's not creative storytelling and natural feeling storytelling, right? And but then it's just like, it's interesting because then the guy is so fascinated by Indy at the same time. Like, you know, he's still like intrigued by him.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you look at that and you're like, okay, I can get it where he likes the idea of going and finding these treasures, but then of course for him it's the putting it in a museum. But yet here he goes and models himself after this guy that chased after him and was all corrupt because of all the so it was. I just thought it was weird.
It is. I don't
know. I mean, immediately learns the corruption of the government there.
Right. So this one had a lot more humor.
Yes.
A lot more humor. It's very, very cheeky, silly humor.
Yeah.
Especially the banter between Indy and Henry Jones Sr. I'm sad to say though, I got bored, and maybe it's from all my years of watching it, but I was not really enthralled.
Well, so I like when they are actually solving a mystery, talking about the mythology, when they're in the library, when they're in the tomb, and then jump all the way to the end when they're actually finding the Grail. In between that, there is very little discussion of history or artifact finding or anything. And there's a lot of chasing all over the place and
why does he
humorous banter.
Sorry.
No, yeah, stuff like that. Like, just it bored me.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't feel, the action felt the same and it all started to blend together.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes are just way too long. Some of the action is great. And I know you need the chase scenes, you need the car scenes, you need all that, but it got really long. And I know this one very well, but out of those three of them, I would choose to watch Raiders, then Temple myself, and then I could take or leave Last Crusade. Like, it's not a bad movie, it's like
the ultimate father's movie though.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, no, I totally get it. I and it's like considered by some people the Indiana Jones movie because of what it brings, but I still think Raiders is the better entry.
Yeah.
For it.
I think you just, I like some of the things I do like. I like a little bit of the vulnerability that Indy shows around his dad. Yeah. Where you learn some of that history. So I'm all for that. Like, that's kind of interesting to see him not having, just have some emotion to him.
Yeah.
I like that. I do really like the ending scene with the going through the traps and solving all those riddles. Like, I love that. Like, that's a great scene. And I love when they're having to choose the Grail and learning about, thinking about the history and it's showing that it's a reflection of yourself rather than anything else. You have this greedy guy that just assumes, well, this has to be the best one. I love that he says the King of Kings. And I'm like, yeah, you're showing that you're just thinking of what it is now, not what it would have been at the time. Yeah. And so your lack of knowledge and clear thinking, right? And so his death is another thing. No different than the face melting. Yeah. Nazis there was with, I don't understand why his hair grows so much. Like, that never made sense to me. Like,
spooky.
It has to be, right? But it definitely is scary to see him wasting away. Yeah. Like, that is definitely frightening. But I mean, I like the scene where he's trying to reach for the Grail. His dad got his hand and he tells him to just let it go. And it's such a culmination of his dad finally being able to say that, I mean, I know he literally now has solved his life's mystery, so now he could care less, but, he also knows that there's nothing you can do about it now that it's there. But
yeah, I struggled to, I understand what you're saying.
So there's a lot of really good scenes. Yeah. And a lot of good, light drama in the mix of the action. Yeah. But then that in between just feels very long.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So then we take a giant leap in time. We go from 38 to 57. And this was a giant leap of time as well. It was 2008 when this one came out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, a big jump in time for Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's a long-ass title.
It really is.
When you think of it, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom,
The Last
Crusade.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have just been the Kingdom of Skulls.
Or just Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls.
Yeah, but then
Skulls sounds weird. Yeah, it should have been Kingdom.
Let's just say if you say Kingdom of Skulls.
Yeah, but then I think of like human skulls, right? So
yeah, but still it would have been more intrigue.
It would have still been interesting. Yeah, you're right.
What do you think when you say Raiders of the Lost Ark?
True. You know, that's the thing is I think the Last Crusade always reminded me about what they were actually looking for, like more because you had the actual Crusaders and the idea like that. But I think as a growing up, I didn't put the connection, so I always forgot what the name of was versus the artifact that they were finding. Yeah. Because I didn't put those two together. I mean, I know it's the Ark of the Covenant, but it's like that wasn't part of my normal everyday life. So they don't have to necessarily be the exact
even the
thing.
Ride, Temple of the Forbidden Eye, pretty simple.
Yeah. So they definitely got too wordy. So that was their first problem.
So okay, so like when we saw this way back then, I didn't like it. Yeah. I had a lot of problems with it, and we watched it probably once since then.
Mm-hmm. But I had a very bad taste in my mouth, and I was not really looking forward to it this time around.
Yeah. So if I was to give a quick hit about it before we dive into what worked and what didn't work, or what we liked or didn't like, or how the movie's over 2 hours. I feel that there was a good movie in there, and it could have been cut down to like 90 minutes.
Oh wow, you cut that much out.
I think so.
It's about 35 minutes out.
Well, approximately.
No,
right?
that's fine.
Maybe a little bit longer, but like I feel like if they cut...
I would like to cut 18 minutes out.
I didn't jot down the exact time, but it feels like...
bugging you. I'm like, why am I bugging you? And I would like, I have no idea.
But like, there's a decent amount that could be cut that could easily have then, I think, tightened the movie up and made it more interesting.
Yeah. See, for me, I was, as I say, I was curious to watch it again because I know it had been so long, and we're having more practice of really trying to observe old movies of whether we like them or not. And I must say I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed this one. I didn't hate it nearly as much as I had in my head that it was like the worst thing ever. Yeah. That being said, there are scenes that are terrible and I have no problem getting rid of them. And if I don't focus on those ones, then I can really have a positive...
And that's how I feel.
But I think I was over-focused on those scenes, and it allowed to just cloud over everything else. So, but overall, I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I enjoyed it actually more than I was expecting on this rewatch. I enjoyed it actually a little bit more than I did than the rewatch of Last Crusade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did too. Like,
which was surprising.
Yeah, I was intrigued. I was focused the whole time. I was excited for it. So yeah. So for me, the thing that really helped me enjoy it is they're solving mysteries throughout the whole movie. So my complaint about The Last Crusade on how they're very, there's very little of talking about history, and they talked about this mythology. They had to solve clues and riddles and find their way and search for this and search for that the whole time. And that's what really kept my attention and my excitement for it, was that there. Yeah. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
No, there are some really cool scenes. I think the problem with the movie is that They
Let's
introduced CG.
Yeah, let's get the weirdness out of the way and then
into it, right? Like that's one of their biggest things is they overuse of the computer graphics. Opening scene is awesome. Finding that whole Area 51 and having it turn out to be like they're looking for this hidden thing that's within it.
So we shift to the Russians, of course, now because it's the middle of the Cold War.
So notice then.
Or not Cold War, but the communist threat.
I'm going to throw this in there. Movie 1 is Nazis. Movie 2 is not Nazis. Movie 3 is Nazis. Movie 4 is not Nazis.
Nazis.
Movie 5 is Nazis.
When is it supposed to take place if it's Nazis?
It's in like the 60s.
Shouldn't be Nazis.
It's not. It's lost Nazis.
There's current world lot Nazis, so I mean, why wouldn't there be? But okay. Anyways,
but yeah.
The whole Area 51. That's really
that's a cool scene. Like, when he's like searching, he's actually like slowly disarming them by taking away their bullets to find this magnetic casing, which is cool. Problematic is that the case was a bit of a
magnetic when it needed to be.
Yeah, when it needed to look cool. when it didn't need to look cool.
It's like, here, we can just chuck this gunpowder up and it's strong enough to pull it towards it from out of the air and defy gravity. But, no one else can feel the magnetic pull at all when they walk in. Yeah. Sure, that makes sense.
But then even like it stopped pulling things even after they took it out of the crate. So there's that. But as a whole, I really like that scene because
Did you know that wood stops a magnetic field?
But he really took it out. It pulled things for a moment and then stopped.
Yeah. I know.
Just like magnetizes everything. Right?
Yeah.
Everything becomes music. But anyways, that whole scene I really liked. And the action in that scene is amazing. And then we get like the rocket sled stuff, which is pretty funny. And that's where the scene should have ended. Mm-hmm. This is a big chunk of time to cut out.
When he steps, climbs out and it shows he's okay and he's far enough away.
Walking into the desert.
It should have gone from there to him talking to the FBI.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
So that whole in between.
That whole in between is the nuclear bomb thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel that scene was needed. Mm-hmm. Because it was another case of like Indiana Jones being a superhero. Yeah. Because I don't care who you are. You cannot ride get launched in a refrigerator and topple end to
closed in the middle of all
over end and
the first thing Kiddo saw, he's like, that would hurt so bad.
You would be. Can
you imagine the head trauma, the bruises, and he just gets up and he's like, he doesn't even have bruises on him. Yeah. He's like, got this.
So like that whole scene could have been, he gets up and he walks into the desert. You cut back to like the scene where they're at the hangar and then they goes in. He could have been still scrubbing him for radiation because he was in the desert. Mm-hmm. It would have been fine, right?
Hell, I don't even care if you had it show that what happened by it if you really wanted to show it. But it's like they were so set on
making you know it was the 50s.
Yeah, show all this, the historical things that happened in Nevada in the 50s. It was like, let's just do all of it.
Yeah, right.
Even though it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
so that whole thing, that's like a good 5 minutes of the movie. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm.
We're giving Kiddo quite the history lesson between us. We had to keep stopping because he had no idea what was going on.
The other movies we didn't have to.
No.
He was just like, oh, cool, this is awesome. And then this one, he's like, what is happening right now?
Because then there's so much more of the politics of understanding all that. So here we are telling him about all the, accusing everyone of being communists. And he's like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Right? The other scene that I feel could have been cut down is the motorcycle chase scene.
I was just going to say, that went on for forever.
And I know being in the library was cool. And it was kind of funny to see him still trying to talk to students, even though he was expelled as a teacher. Mm-hmm. But you literally could have ended it where the guys crash into the thing and the head rolls out. Mm-hmm. And then just cut to them at Indy's place. And there's another 4 minutes right there.
Some of those scenes that went really, really too far.
Yeah. So
one positive, Shia LaBeouf didn't irritate me as much as I remember him irritating me. He's still, I love Indy's comment on him. You don't have to be sore just to prove how tough you are.
Yeah.
And I love that comment because it was so obvious.
Yeah.
Like he was putting on such a big tough guy attitude. And I think I was more appreciative of when you see him in the cell, when he gets to Oxley's cell and he sees how much he'd gone crazy and he's so emotional and you can tell that he's trying so hard to have this tough exterior, but he's so worried and so upset. And then seeing him in the grave site when he's so freaked out too. Yeah. So he actually showed a lot more range of almost real emotions, more than I remember being. And so I was pleasantly surprised.
Because the scene near the end overrides anything that happens earlier.
His magic monkey powers?
So like, Those two scenes in the movie, though, at the beginning, are the ones that I cut out. Yeah. Right? Then I quite enjoy the movie from there, from when they get to Peru and they start doing all their stuff. Fine. Blah 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 blah. All good. The even though we got like the capoeira like karate grave guys, I still get a kick out of that because it's different. Mm-hmm. No problems there. Solving that puzzle. Fine. It's when we get to the end.
Hold on. Can I tell you one positive, though? I love when him and Marion, when she gets the reveal of her and how, like, you couldn't believe how he... Like, I forgot why he couldn't put it together. The idea of, like, why did he not think, well, your mom said that I would help you. How many Marions does he really know then?
He called her Mary.
I know he said Marion.
He still said Mary at one point.
Oh, okay. But still, whatever. It's fine.
That's why it's like he said Mary assume. Williams. I don't know. That doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, true. But I love their reunion because they're just so immediate, just like we talked earlier, like so immediate of these very intense emotions that they have. Yeah. But the romantic, like, oh my God, it's so cute line that I love is that, there was lots of other women, but they all had the same problem. They weren't you. And I was just like, oh my God, this is just so adorable. That's just amazing. And I love the look on her face. She just looks like a smitten girl again. And it's adorable. So that made me happy. But outside of all that, then we go into the really long ass chase scene.
The chase scene, which was fine. I enjoyed the chase scene. The problems with the chase scene.
Sword fight.
Is the sword fight.
Yes.
That's a scene that could be shortened down. We do not need to have such a long sword fight, even to the point of let's make him do the splits and nut him with plants.
Well, and at one point, Cate Blanchett's character, she is so rooted and so sturdy. She's not even moving at all. Like, it looks so fake. It's
the
like
kick,
and then the kick, like
okay.
No, that well, at one
that's
point,
how I thought you were going.
No, the kick when she vertically just lifts her legs straight up with so much force. Like
I don't even think there's room to be able to do that.
Move her leg, even if she could do it. But no, at one point she stands there and she's so stick straight. There's no like bend in her to keep her balance. There's no look like I'm on a moving platform. Yeah. It's like she's just standing on something solid, and it just looks ridiculous. Yeah. And then with him standing between them, like, does anyone have any idea how painful that would be to be like that, and how risky it would be, and
how so easy it would have been for him to fall off,
right? And he looks like pretty okay.
Yeah, and then he's getting nutted, and then he gets whisked into the into the trees, only to find a monkey with a pompadour. And that's how they bond, and they somehow swing through the forest.
I love how he just met. I was like, oh, I got this. I've never done this before, but I can swing through the forest.
Right?
I really would like to know how easy that would be.
Eject out at the right point of time to land in Cate Blanchett's car boat with all his monkey pals.
And I don't understand why he is able to then... like make them attack all the Russians and not him and his family, like friends. Like, there is no reason whatsoever why the monkeys would suddenly decide that he is not invading their space, or that they
was
know
the hairdo.
They know. I'm just gonna ignore that insanity. And then why they only attack them.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
So yeah, there's like those scenes I think definitely could be cut out, and like the sword fight should be shortened quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So, and then the monkey powers.
I feel really bad for the snake that they use for a rope.
Yeah.
That actually made me really sad.
I don't know why he kept throwing the head of the snake at Indy though. That
doesn't seem like it makes sense.
No.
Yeah, but like I felt really bad for that. Mm-hmm. It's like this poor snake.
Just out there chilling.
Just for the humor of showing that Indy's a scared of snakes.
Yeah.
Like, no, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a bad joke. Mm-hmm. That could have been cut out.
Mm-hmm. That whole scene, really. I know the purpose of it is to show off being broken and bring them back.
But it was so that she would blurt out that it was his son, right?
Oh, true. Put her in a life situation, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
But I get exactly what you're saying.
And then the ants.
So the ants, I don't mind the ants. Mm-hmm. What I do mind, because like we literally get the ants taking over someone at one point, and it just kind of happens off screen. The part of that one that needs to be cut, honestly, is one when she smashes one with her knees, and the goop gets on the camera. That seems unnecessary.
Well, I don't understand why they actually crawl and build themselves up to try to get to her, and then they like one dies, and they're like, "Oh, we're out."
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
But when the other guy gets taken over by ants and like they flood over him and like crawl down his mouth and then
drag him into the anthill and then all leave because now they've suddenly decided that was enough. Like that was the one they were going after.
Yeah. So that it would have been fine if he just knocked him back and he landed and they swarmed over him and then he turned away. Mm-hmm. That would have been so much better.
We understand what's going to happen.
Yeah, because we already saw some other guy get taken over by it and we didn't have to like see them crawling in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those ones that could have been tightened up. I feel. Then we have our boat scene.
The perfect boat launch that she knew totally was going to happen.
Yeah. That was very comical. And then the 3 drops, which they actually dropped 4 times.
They did, yeah.
But they don't show the actual third that they glaze over. That was a drop.
Mm-hmm. So I like the getting into the temple, seeing, kind of learning about all this sort of stuff, and like thinking about all this history that might have happened and all this sort of. So all of that is great, but then once they finally get the skull back and reattached, then shit just goes really, really super sci-fi and weird.
Yeah,
and it goes from like. Again, I'm all for the Ark having the magic and the Grail. There's magic. I can understand having that seems more magic. This seems it's so sci-fi, right? So the rest of it is so much religion based.
Yeah,
and this is
complete alien.
It's not just because. Excuse me. You haven't even added. Okay, fine. We have an alien. We've added that. Now you've added interdimensional space travel. Like you've added
also
much happening.
Not even just space travel, but they're talking about going to another like time and space.
Well, yeah, like a whole like a wormhole portal, right? Like because then they have all them being sucked in there, and it's just like they went so hardcore, so quickly, and I'm all like, I thought it was great that the whole like encompassing, I need to have all the knowledge and the lady's eyes light on fire. I thought that was fantastic. That her brain literally started smoking. Sure, I'll take that. That was
that was cool, but like they didn't have to have the spinning room of doom fall apart to reveal that it was like
metal spaceship. Yeah.
And then all 8 of the bodies combined to create one whole being.
Well, I know part of me wonders if the idea of that is in her mind more, like the concept of the mind getting stronger and the amount, but still, I don't like when all the bricks fall away and it's just like this whole metal structure.
I don't know. We understood that people's faces melted from the shit that was happening in the Ark.
You didn't. And
we just saw literally like just dust floating around.
I guess they didn't want to, they really wanted to show the alien aspect again. Like, I don't know. I thought the crystal skeletons were pretty
literally,
pretty
you could have had that she focused on it because they kept saying that if you stared in the eyes too long, you would go mad. Well, she stared in the eyes too long. Her head exploded. I could have been like, you didn't need all the... And then the temple could have collapsed.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand then the fact that then it just rips out of the sky and then they go home and they've been literally waiting there for it. So this giant saucer just disappears into the ether and like, I don't know. It just that I know that really bothered me the first time. It still really bothered me this time. And I know that's the bad taste in my mouth was so much based on the ending of it. So it's sad. So I have a lot more appreciation for a lot of the movie then. So it's not terrible, but it really does leave a bad taste for the end of it.
Yeah.
You know? So.
I know we've got some contention with this, but I would be okay with cutting out the entire wedding scene.
Like, I would be okay with it, too. I just don't understand why it's so...
Because it doesn't feel like any of the other Indiana Jones movies.
That's true.
And that's where I go back to the idea of, like, the formula field, because, like, all of them kind of end on kind of, like...
Just a quick ending.
They're still out there. They're still... Right? None of them end with them...
I don't like that the doors somehow magically blow open and the hat flies to his feet. That was terrible.
Right? So, like, maybe it's that scene alone, or just cut the whole thing. Just
be done with it. No.
You know what? If anything, and I know they didn't do it back then, but then that should have been at least the marriage vow part should have been an end credit scene. The very end of everything.
You know what I would have been fine with is, like, in the credits, just have them even walk out of the church.
Yeah.
Just be there. Understanding what's happening, right? Something quicker.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I really dislike the hat blowing in. Yeah. That one really bothers me, so maybe that's part of the anger for the scene. But you're right. I mean, because it doesn't make or break it, because as much as it's nice to know that maybe they have actually gotten married, I assume that they would stay together from after from what had happened in the movie. I didn't really need to hold.
I think it took away a bit from his line about, like, you know, somewhere your grandfather's laughing. Right?
That would have been a great way to end it. You're right. Because that was a fun. Yeah, no, I would have been okay.
Like, they're all sitting there laughing on the rock, and you're basically like, well, how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. And that's yeah. So that's where I think you laugh, but I think there is 30 minutes there.
No, I agree though. I would be okay. I would be okay with leaving, and especially because I did really like that last line, and I think that would have been a cooler way to have ended it. So I'll agree with you.
Yeah. So.
And I'll just take it because I would rather have him talking about how, you know, no one else was Marion. That line is more important to show the relationship than the
that's
wedding.
A good line.
So I'm okay with that.
So I still think for myself, out of the 4, Temple and Raiders are still, like, if I'm going to watch an Indiana Jones movie,
those two.
It's going to be those two.
Yeah.
It's going to be those two. So.
I agree.
The other 2 I could, you know, meh.
Yeah.
If, you know, I probably would, if someone was like, hey, do you want to watch these? I'd be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to wash my hair.
That's funny. Yeah, well, I'm excited to watch the movie this week here for the new one. I don't quite know what to expect. I think I was a little more hesitant with how bad I had in my head about King of the Crystal Skull. I'm cautiously optimistic about this new one here because I didn't hate that one as much as I remember.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that they would have learned from it.
They brought the Nazis back.
They got the Nazis back, so obviously it's going to be cooler. But I'm interested to see just there's only so much they can do for the fact that Harrison Ford's ancient.
80 years old now.
So, you know, how all of that's going to go is going to be interesting.
You know, I really do. I am sad how little Indiana Jones content we have gotten over the years. And maybe that's what helps this mystique stay alive. Mm-hmm. You know, there were comics, there were novels. I do like the novels. Mm-hmm. I was really sad they didn't re-release the novels with the movie. There was that Young Indiana Jones TV show, which is not on Disney Plus in Canada, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's in the States at least. I don't know if it's anywhere else. But yeah, I think it's a really cool role, and I think it's a cool character. So I think it'd be great if they could figure out how to do some not direct to video style animation, but some like high quality animated adventures. I think that'd be pretty cool. Not kidified, of course, sticking with that PG-13
well, you
theme.
could do something that's a short series, limited series.
Then you could do a Indiana Jones Visions.
Yeah, exactly, right? Just all the like an opening scene of all the movies. Yeah. Just show us the action and the cool stuff that he gets and some successes and some losses and just show us that. Yeah,
do like Star Wars Visions, but for Indiana Jones.
Are you listening?
With all the anime character creators.
Do this. Do that, Disney.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be fantastic.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Dial of Destiny. James Mangold directed this one. It's the first time anyone's directed an Indiana Jones other than Spielberg.
Yeah, that is.
So we'll be curious to see how that is.
Style, but that could be helpful too, right? So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
I think that's a wrap.
It's not the age; it's the mileage.
Okay, until next time, thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad.